not some call center overseas. And you get to meet with us in person for free. We never take a dime unless we win for you. Plus, no ridiculous fees like those TV characters. You were the one that was hurt, so the doctors and the lawyers shouldn't take all the money. So go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303-LAW-4040, 303-LAW-4040.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Most business owners and decision makers work hard but stay frustrated because customers simply don't know they exist. Marketing isn't about being flashy. It's about making sure people understand how you solve their problem. Audio, video, and online campaigns put your message where your customers are already paying attention. And your friends at DenverSports, they specialize in connecting customers to businesses. The moment you get clear and show up consistently, growth follows. Don't stay the best-kept secret in town. Visit DenverSports.com and click on the Advertise with Us button and start growing today.
Attention taxpayers. If you owe $5,000 or more and have missed another tax deadline, you're officially on the IRS's radar. The IRS has resumed aggressive collections. That means wage garnishments, bank levies, even seizures of your home, car, or retirement accounts. If you owe $5,000 or more and missed the deadline, you're stacking new debt on top of what you already owe. Call Priority Tax Relief now. Their experts fight back fast and are saving their clients millions in tax debt every month.
I owed over $50,000 and they settled it for pennies on the dollar. These guys are as legit as they come.
After speaking on my behalf with the IRS, my entire debt of $25,000 will be eliminated.
Whether you've received collection letters or you're already facing liens and garnishments, call for your free consultation. There are no upfront fees. Priority Tax Relief. Let's make your taxes our priority. Call 800-968-3159. 800-968-3159. 800-968-3159.
Priority Tax Relief. It's back. Football is back, Broncos country, which means summer is almost over. And that means it's time for game days. Whether you're heading to Empower Field or traveling to Boulder to cheer on Coach Prime and the Buffs, you got to get there in style and on time. So let my friends at Hermes Worldwide handle the traffic and parking, and you handle the rest, which means have as much fun as possible and make as many memories as you can. So let Hermes Worldwide get you to and from the game safe. All you need to do is call Hermes Worldwide at 303-577-7600 or visit ridehermes.com/DenverSports to book your next ride today.
Meet Slate, the most personalizable, affordable pickup/SUV/whatever you want it to be. Learn more and reserve yours at slate.auto.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports from your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Tuesday night in the Mile High City. He's Anilo Piro. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour. It's fun to do the show on a Tuesday. We're always going to react to what happened to the Broncos' previous game, but this particular Tuesday, the game is fewer than 24 hours old. Broncos smashed the Bengals on Monday Night Football 28-3. And obviously, Anilo, I just told Zach and Phil this, but curious your thoughts. I thought a beatdown was needed. A laugher was needed. You look at the last 2 weeks, the heartbreak between the debacle against the Colts with the leverage penalty and then the deja vu feeling against the Chargers. Oh, my gosh, here we go again. Second walk-off field goal in a row. I'm going to do a win is a win is a win. I get it. But I'm also with my guy Mike Evans. Like, style points kind of mattered last night. Beatdown kind of mattered last night. Laugher mattered. they checked all those boxes. It was nice to have a stress-free Broncos game.
Yeah, stress-free. The way that I would kind of categorize it as well, entering into that game, it was kind of a gut check moment, right? Okay, 2 bad losses for the Denver Broncos, kind of a prove it spot, a get back on track type of game for the Broncos, get right game as well. And they did just that. They were pretty significant favorites in this game. Obviously, no Joe Burrow. It would have been a really interesting game had Joe Burrow played. But obviously, when you got Jake Browning out there coming off a putrid performance against the Minnesota Vikings, all signs were pointing towards a big Broncos victory. And we got that, of course, with a 28-3 win. But dynamic from the offense, strong defense across the board. Really no complaints outside of a couple Troy Franklin drops and an R.J. Harvey missed ball as well that you could ride home about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we just start from the beginning, the first quarter was a tad bit frustrating.
Yeah.
To let the Bengals drive all the way down, and PS2 has the penalty. Alex Singleton misses a tackle or two. T. Higgins makes a catch on Riley Moss. They bend but don't break, only give up a field goal. Broncos go 3 and out. Here comes Cincy again. They're at midfield. And that penalty, I'm a Broncos fan, but that penalty, that kind of swung the game in terms of the Broncos were always going to win, but in that moment in time, that was offsides on Jonah Ellis on that 4th down. It just was. And for whatever reason, they called a false start on the Bengals. They had to punt. Broncos score a touchdown, and the floodgates were open. But outside of, the drive to end the first quarter, nice pass to Cortland on 3rd down, Adam Troutman, big gain, Bo Nix running in for the touchdown. Like, the first 10 minutes were not the most satisfying as a Broncos fan. Again, they won big. They won by 25 points. But you mentioned not a lot to not like. I would just point to the start a little bit, and I'd also point to the fact, again, I'm rooting for the Broncos. I'm cheering for the Broncos. I think the officials have done the Broncos wrong a couple times this year. But that was a nice break on that 4th down. They called the penalty on Cincinnati and not on Denver.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was sitting up there in the press box, and I was turning to our fellow media colleagues, and I'm like, really? Like I was kind of expecting, to your point, a bad penalty to be called on Jonah Ellis and the Broncos at that point. I mean, from my perspective, my vantage point, it looked pretty obvious. And then, you slow it down, a little fidget there from the offensive lineman for Cincinnati. But, it is what it is. But the Broncos definitely benefit. And I'll give them a little bit of a break, in regards to that first drive, because I agree with you. It looked a bit different. But, what's the old saying? And what do you know when it comes to the NFL? Scripted first drives, right? And you expected the Bengals, after a pitiful performance last week against the Vikings, to try to come out with some juice, try to come out with some fire, but the cream ultimately rose to the top, and that, of course, was the Denver Broncos defense.
Yeah, no, it was. The defense was phenomenal. I mean, outside of that first drive, the Bengals couldn't move the football at all. I mean, Jake Browning, I know he's a nice story at one point, and he had the game down in Jacksonville on Monday Night Football that everyone got all excited about. Dude's not an NFL quarterback. And I know Cincy is notoriously cheap. They're notoriously poorly run. But to not be on the phone with the Falcons about Kirk Cousins, or even the Giants about Jameis Winston, or our old friend Russell Wilson, just feels like malpractice. I mean, you saw Jamar Chase and Zach Taylor last night. They highlighted that on the broadcast of Jamar was letting his head coach have it. Wide receivers, we always hear, quote-unquote divas. Well, they're going to really be divas when Jamar and T, 2 of the top probably 15 receivers in the NFL, and Jamar in the top 2, just can't do anything, can't get anything going. I'll ask you this, was that a product of Browning's terrible, or was that a product of this Denver defense is truly elite? And frankly, outside of the Colts game, they've been pretty darn good this year.
Yeah, well, I mean, to use a Zach byline, I think 2 things can be true at the same time. I mean, I think you expected the Denver Broncos defense to play up to the standard in which we all expect for them. But yeah, I mean, Jake Browning, not great last night. 14 for 25, 125 passing yards. Not exactly lighting the world on fire there. So I tend to believe it's a little bit more towards the backup quarterback, just because Jake Browning isn't very good, and I don't mean to be hard on him, but it's just look at what you've seen the last couple of games as well. And you took the words right out of my mouth, man. I know we're not a Bengals station, but it is getting borderline malpractice right now if they keep running it with Jake Browning. I mean, they're 2-2. They have an opportunity if they go get a Jameis Winston, a Kirk Cousins, dare I say a Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's probably a better option right now than Jake Browning to try to keep this season afloat for when Joe Burrow comes back late in the year potentially. But yeah, I mean, the Denver Broncos defense after that first drive and a half or so really settled into a nice groove and wreaked havoc on that Bengals offense.
Yeah, Alex Singleton, again, bad first drive, but bounces back nicely with 11 tackles. Riley Moss, they really tried to make the Riley Moss T. Higgins Part 2 thing happen, and not going to lie, in the first quarter, I thought it might happen. T had the one nice catch, drew a flag on another, actually did have a catch on the sideline that got taken back by a Bengals penalty. So many flags last night at Empower Field at Mile High, and the Broncos were the beneficiary of the most of them, even though they had 7 penalties themselves for 72 yards. But this defense is mean. There's the screenshot going around today of Zach Allen getting quadruple teamed.
Crazy.
While Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper are right in the face of Jake Browning. Brandon Jones bailed out PS2 early on a ball where Jamar Chase beat him, and he came over and had the nice deflection. Hufanga, I didn't notice him a ton last night. Not necessarily a bad thing because he's been so good through the first 3 weeks. Hopefully, Dre Greenlaw is around the corner week 7 or so when he can come off IR. I look at this defense, and I understand the Indy game was not fun, and it was not a lot of fun. But Indy, clearly I was wrong about that. They're a lot better than I thought. Frankly, should have won yesterday, been 4-0. They made a couple of dumb mistakes against the Rams. One on Sunday, excuse me. But, Anilo, right now, I'm having a hard time finding any holes in this Denver defense.
Yeah, and that's where I think guys like Riley Moss and Alex Singleton maybe don't get a fair shake. And I understand the Colts and the Chargers games were a bit rough, but, Alex Singleton was getting flamed on social media leading up to this game. He led the Broncos in total tackles last night with 11, as you alluded to, and that's doubling up more than Jaquan McMillan, who had 4. Second leading tackler last night for the Denver Broncos, including 6 solo tackles. So he had himself a nice game. I believe Riley Moss, targeted 6 times, only gave up those 2 completions, which came early in the game as well. So, I think because the defensive line is so good, and because you have the reigning defending defensive player of the year in Pat Surtain, that you're going to look to any hole possible. When Singleton misses a tackle, again, coming off an ACL injury, can we have a little bit of grace this early into the year? It's one thing if he's playing like this in Week 15, getting ready for the playoffs, and it's been a continuous trend for a half season plus. Let's just take it easy a little bit. I think Riley Moss can play in this league, and I think Singleton can play in this league. And to your point, the Broncos are so deep and sharp on defense that naturally there's going to be some sore thumbs that stick out. And, it's been Singleton and Riley Moss in spurts, but I don't think that means that they're not good players that can contribute to this team.
Yeah, no, I think they both had good bounce-back games last night. It was sort of what the doctor ordered, if you will, playing a Cincy team that just couldn't get anything going. Nice confidence boost for that Broncos defense. And we'd be remiss to not talk a little bit more about Bonito. Obviously, the half sack he and Cooper both had early in the game was super nice, but the sack he had a little later on, it just derailed that Cincinnati drive. Just when you thought maybe the Bengals can get a little bit of momentum. Nick Bonito does Nick Bonito things. I'm so glad the Broncos paid him, and it's so early. It's so early, Anilo, but he is kind of on one of those trajectories where if he finishes with 15, 16, 17 sacks, the Broncos could have back-to-back defensive players of the year. He was in that conversation till November, early December last year. I think Nick Bonito can be in that conversation again this year. Guy's a game wrecker. Biggest game wrecker the Broncos have had since Von Miller.
100%. And you and I talked about that time and time again over the course of the offseason, leading up to, what is, an exciting season for this Denver Broncos team. And so far, as advertised, is Nick Bonito. A sack and a half last night, an absolute game wrecker through the first 4 games of the season for the Denver Broncos. And frankly, I agree with you. I like Nick Bonito has all the secret sauce, profiles as a guy that could be one of the top 5, top 3, maybe even the best player at his position as he continues to progress throughout his career. DPOY is very much on the table for Nick Bonito if he continues to trend in this direction. And frankly, look, I know it's George Payton. A lot of people are still upset about the Russell Wilson situation, but if Bonito lives up to that expectation, let's say Nick Bonito does become a defensive player of the year over the course of this contract, you're looking back on that deal and saying the Broncos got a discount. Just like you're looking at that with Pat Surtain right now, looking at some of the cornerback money that's been shelled out as well. So the Broncos defensively are really sound in regards to having their core players locked up in their primes while they continue to get better and better.
All right, we'll get to the offense here in a moment, but I want to hit up the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. Great text from Brian up there in Thornton. Hey, fellas, agree. I thought Jarrett Stidham was going to be on the plane on the way out of town with a trade. People who listen to the station know I'm not the biggest Stidham fan in the world, but he would be an upgrade for the Bengals, clearly, over Jake Browning. 1361 says Jameis Winston on the Bengals would be fun. Oh, it would be so much fun.
Oh, man.
They'd lose every game like 45-30, but it'd be a lot more fun than whatever we saw last night, kind of like that Browns-Broncos Monday night game here last year. The 2153, everyone seems to want perfection. We haven't been behind for 1 second in the fourth quarter after 4 games. Yes, those were gut-wrenching losses, but that doesn't mean we did not play these teams. That's from Mike. Mike, great point. They didn't trail in the fourth quarter of the Colts. They were up 28-26. Walk-off field goal at the buzzer. They didn't trail to the Chargers. Should have won that football game up 20-13. It's 20-20. Justin Herbert drives down. Dicker, the kicker, puts it through. Chargers win 23-20. But yeah, again, we're going to get to the offense in a moment, but I'll ask you this, Anilo. Quarter pole. Let's call it the quarter pole. I know it's 17 games now, but basically the quarter pole for 4 down, 13 to go, 2-2. You happy? You sad? You somewhere in the middle? How do you feel about the Broncos, again, basically a quarter of the way through the season?
I don't know if I would describe it as happy or sad. I guess I'm just not surprised, right? Like, I'm a guy that had the Broncos at 10-7. Now, I did think they were going to beat the Colts. I had them splitting with the Chargers this year and whatnot, so the Colts game kind of caught me off guard. But, this is a Broncos team that I think has a lot of talent, obviously on both sides of the ball, most importantly on the defensive side of the ball at this moment. But I think the reason why I'm not freaking out right now, yes, I do think the Broncos maybe left something on the table with those 2 games against the Colts and the Chargers. And I think what makes the Chargers game sting a little bit more is the fact that you went on that 17-point unanswered run and still lost the game. But I'm looking, obviously, a really big test this weekend coming up against the Philadelphia Eagles. But the reason why I'm still optimistic about this Broncos team is after that, you got the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Raiders. Those are 5 games that, assuming Bo Nix and all the star players on the defense are healthy, the Broncos should be favored in and likely win all of, if not most of those games. So you look at those 2 losses, and they're brutal. We'll see what happens against Philadelphia. But I'm saying there's a 5-game stretch here where the Broncos can go 4-5 or 4-1, maybe even 5-0 against some of the mid teams in the NFL.
Okay, I love your optimism, and I love looking forward. And I agree with you. The schedule after this weekend does get easier. But they're 2-2. I'm not going to say I'm sad, because that's what I threw out to you, happy or sad. I'm a wee bit frustrated. Bit frustrated. Because we definitely live in an alternate universe where they should be at least 3-1. If not, let's be honest, 4-0. I mean, they gagged the Colts game. They gagged the Chargers game. And how much fun would it be to be looking at the standings right now and saying, oh, the only undefeated teams in the AFC are the Broncos and the Bills. The Chargers are 2-2 and the Chiefs are 2-2. And everyone's going to say, well, the Chargers are 3-1. Well, of course, if they had lost to the Broncos, they'd be 2-2 after they lost to the Giants. We can't change the past. Bo Nix alluded to that last week. He doesn't have a time machine. I get it. But if you had told me, say, a month ago, hey, Broncos are going to be 2-2, I'd say, okay. Sure, sounds about right. With you, not surprised. But to Mike's text, if you had told me, hey, they're not going to trail in the fourth quarter ever, I'd say, great, they're 4-0. Or at least they're 3-1 if they got walked off. I'll say 2-2 right now feels like you passed the test. You're relieved. The teacher just handed you the paper back and you got a 72. Okay, whatever. Mom and dad aren't going to be real happy, but I passed. I'm not going to fail the class.
Story
I'm not
of my
going to
life.
Yeah, me too. They call me B-boy because I got so many B's. You're not going to have to take the class over again. But, gosh, if you just studied for another few hours, that 72 could have been a 92. And then you wouldn't have the anxiety about taking the paper home and showing it to your folks. It's a good problem to have that we're disappointed at 2-2. But it's also just a little disappointing that the way this season has played out thus far, the record's not at least 3-1, if not 4-0. And again, no one can redo the past, but they had to win last night because you couldn't change what happened to the Chargers. You couldn't change what happened against the Colts. And I'm glad they did. But if we're just doing a quick little quarter pole review here, 2-2 to me feels like pretty middle of the road, given how they got to that record.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think it's fair. And I just keep going back to the self-induced pressure that Sean Payton put on his own team, talking about Super Bowl, talking about Bo Nix being a top 5 quarterback in this league in the years to come as well. But the other thing that I look at as well is the Broncos are not mutually exclusive to slow starts. I mean, you see the Baltimore Ravens right now at 1-3. What do you think that fan base is thinking? That's a team that entered into this season with legitimate championship expectations, and they've fallen short. I know the Chiefs ended up beating the Ravens, but still not living up to the hype that you kind of come accustomed to with this Kansas City Chiefs team. The Houston Texans are also 1-3. So here's some playoff caliber teams in the AFC specifically that have fallen short of expectations. And when I kind of circle back to it, we live in this instant gratification society, and again, Sean Payton self-inducing this pressure on his own team. I'm sure that they were a little flustered, after those games and late in moments. But what I go back to, I was in the Broncos locker room last week at practice. I think it was Thursday. And Nick Bonito was asked a similar question along the lines of how do you feel after 2 games that you were in, but you lost, whatever. And I think Bonito had a great quote. He talked about, we're not trying to peak in week 3. We're not trying to win the Super Bowl in week 3. So if you're going to have these types of frustrating losses and frustrating points, you want to get these out of your system early, and hopefully you become battle-tested, calloused, and you're better for it. I think Nick Bonito hit the nail on the head. It's not a matter of talent. It's a matter of things coming together, and there's plenty of time for the Broncos to figure it out.
Yeah, and it certainly came together last night. Jason chimes in and says, if the consensus about the Chiefs is, quote, they're back and they've turned the corner when playing against Ravens backups, then why can't Denver say that? I get what Jason's getting at. Now, listen, Lamar Jackson didn't sit down in that game until it was clearly out of him. But you're right. The narrative around the Broncos is, well, they beat a crappy team, whatever. I mean, James Marilat wrote about that at DenverSports.com this morning. Whereas the narrative around the Chiefs is, Chiefs are lurking. Here come the Chiefs. And that's where I like Jason's text of, hey, the Chiefs beat a really banged-up Ravens team, and everyone's saying, anyone who counted them out is silly. Mahomes is going back to the Super Bowl. The Broncos beat the Bengals, and the national media reaction is kind of, well, ho-hum, since he's terrible. Maybe we should be giving Denver a little more credit for what we witnessed last night.
Yeah, but again, I think it's the expectation, right? Like they were touchdown favorites in this game. Like, obviously they throttled the Bengals, and they didn't even get in the end zone, just the one field goal on the opening drive of the game. And then everything else came up Broncos. But, I'm not going to go crazy after a big win on Monday Night Football against a Joe Burrow-less Bengals team. Now, they beat the Eagles next week? Buckle up. And I'll flip it back on you. Obviously, the Broncos are at 2-2 right now. The Chargers, for example, entered into this last weekend at 3-0. How are you feeling if you're a Charger fan with big wins over the Broncos, over the Chiefs, and over the Raiders, and then you lay an egg on the road against New York? I'm not saying one situation is better than the other, but there's growing pains. It takes time for this thing to come together. The Broncos are in a good spot.
Sure, no one's going to go undefeated. At least 99.9% chance not. I know the Bills' cupcake schedule has people thinking differently, but everyone's going to lose at some point. And you're right. Chargers fans are probably thinking today, well, Chargers going to Charger. We had a chance to get a 2-game lead on the division, take a real stranglehold, and we go lose to a rookie in his first career NFL start. Let's look at the offense, because here's my biggest takeaway, and I wrote about this for tomorrow morning at DenverSports.com. When Sean Payton finally commits to running the ball, these Broncos have a chance to be special.
Oh, yeah.
And last night he did. He did. I mean, he got 30 carries between Dobbins and Harvey last night. Of course, you've heard by now, Dobbins' first 100-yard rusher in the total Sean Payton era.
Woohoo!
He's 20-18 as the head coach of the Broncos in the regular season, 20-19 if you include that loss to the Bills in the playoffs last year. But Anilo, it also helped Bo. Having a running game last night made Bo Nix look so much more comfortable. Goes for well over 300 yards. Could have gone for 400 yards if there weren't a couple of drops. Runs for a touchdown. Throws for 2 more. Hated the play call on 3rd and goal with the Wildcat with Harvey in the backfield and Bo split out wide. Should have had another touchdown there. Should have won 35-3. If you score there and you just hand it to Dobbins, then Bo never throws the interception. But not only did they run the football extremely well last night, but the ability to do that helped the quarterback play his best game of the season.
I mean, the running back should be the young quarterback's best friend. I don't know why it's taken them so long. And we know that Sean Payton is a pass-happy coach and a coordinator when he's calling the plays and whatnot. But, Bo Nix is still a second-year quarterback. And I understand people went crazy about all of his experience in college and this and that. But what you saw last night from the Broncos offense was balance. And not just in regards to the pass-run split, but even the run splits individually. You mentioned it. 30 carries, but 16 of them for Dobbins, 14 of which went to R.J. Harvey. Dobbins pops off for 101 yards rushing. R.J. Harvey, 14 carries for 58 yards. I mean, an average of 4.9 yards per carry. You get those numbers, man. That play-action pass opens up. Those bootlegs that Sean Payton likes to run become a lot easier to call with a higher success rate. The Broncos need to lean into the run, and I understand it's maybe against Sean Payton's DNA, but that is the best recipe to build Bo Nix up and this offense along the way.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. He wrote "run it" with 3 exclamation points on his play sheet in L.A. against the Chargers in December of last year. Still didn't do it that day. Bo Nix threw the ball 40 times. The running backs only had 17 carries. Last night, 9 months later, it's like he finally learned his lesson. The run it in the Sharpie was sort of speaking to him last night, and the 0034 says, well, they were finally running it up 18 points. So, I get it. I see what you're saying. It's a lot easier to run when you have the lead. Sean alluded to that in his post-game presser, but it felt like for the first time, honestly, in the Sean Payton era, which, again, we're approaching 40 games of, that the running game was a point of emphasis, and it didn't feel hollow. It didn't feel like, we're just going to kind of run it to show we can. It felt like, no, we can be dominant running the football. Sean committed to it, and the Broncos played one of their more complete games we've seen in almost a calendar year.
Yeah, I mean, old habits die hard, right? And I'm not expecting Sean Payton to, wake up today with a realization about, oh my gosh, like this is the way with this rushing attack. It's like when you're laying down at night, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock, or me last night at 1 o'clock in the morning after I got home from the game. And I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't go get this sweet treat from my freezer. It's probably not the best idea to eat this drumstick at 1 o'clock in the morning. But I ended up going to do it. So Sean Payton needs to, check himself, unlike me when it comes to the dessert, and not always stick that hand in the cookie jar, albeit this time the passing game. Balance it out. I just think the Broncos as a whole, and Bo Nix as a whole, a guy that has a lot of pressure on him after those comments from Sean Payton, are going to benefit tremendously. And you saw J.K. Dobbins at the podium last night, talking about the alternate series for the running backs. J.K. is a guy that says, when I get back-to-back runs or consistent runs, I get better throughout the course of the game. You're the head coach. You need to play to your players' strengths, and one of those strengths is this Broncos running attack. We saw it last night.
Mikey from Denver says the only thing in the way of week in, week out reliable offense is Sean Payton's play calling. If he swallows that ego, the Broncos offense will keep up with the best of them. I couldn't agree with you more, Mikey. If Sean Payton can commit to running the football, the Broncos can make a run not only to the postseason, but in the playoffs, win a game or two. They're that good on defense. They are. But we'll have to see. And you use the word ego, Mikey. I would agree with you. Will Sean's ego allow for that? We're going to have to find out. Speaking of balanced, not only were they balanced pass run, but they were balanced in the receiving game as well. I mean, Cortland Sutton had the unbelievable touchdown catch. Marvin Mims, touchdown he scored was just ridiculous. There's very few receivers that can get the corner there and turn that into 6. I know Pat Bryant had the great block, and he deserves credit, but most guys are getting a 2-3 yard gain there. The fact that he turned that corner and burned the Bengals guy to the end zone was impressive. He finished with the most catches on the team with 6. Sutton had 5. Franklin had 4. Harvey out of the backfield had 4. Evan Ingram thought he'd be on a milk carton. He had 4 catches. Only played 43% of the snaps, but at least he was somewhat kind of barely involved in the offense last night. Had the bad foot out of bounds thing, lack of situational awareness of where he was on the field, but finally something from a high-priced free agent tight end. I just love this because I think we all have that notion that Bo targets Cortland too much. And I get it. Cortland's his whoopee. It's his safety blanket. But last night he really spread the football around.
Yeah, 100%. And here's a fun stat that I want to throw out there because I was one of those guys in the offseason like, who's the Broncos' number 1 wide receiver? Is Cortland Sutton a true number 1 wide receiver in this league? Here's a fun one. Since 2023, most games with a receiving touchdown. Cortland Sutton second at 20 behind only Amon-Ra St. Brown with 24. Mike Evans at 19 and Tyreek Hill 18. So maybe Cortland Sutton, he said it last night in the locker room, like, I like to learn and watch guys like Jamar Chase so I can improve my craft. But Cortland Sutton is the definition of a steady Eddie and the best friend for Bo Nix. And that touchdown grab last night was absolutely spectacular. And again, I think because of that balance, you're going to see more versatility open up with this passing game.
Great stat from you. I mean, anytime you're in the same sentence as Amon-Ra and Mike Evans, you're doing something right. Do you think, too, that Bo Nix, I'm not saying he heard the noise because you're a quarterback at an NFL team. There's a ton of noise every week. But do you think Bo Nix sort of realized that it just can't be 14, 14, 14, 14? He's got to spread this football around because they had more than 500 yards last night. It was the first time, most yards since I believe a 2014 game with Peyton Manning.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking more than a decade since the Broncos had put up that kind of numbers on offense, and it makes sense given the QB carousel they had and Manning's not unfortunate 2015, but he was hurt. We all get it. Still won a Super Bowl, still helped lead them to the Lombardi Trophy. But when you're talking about offensive numbers this town hasn't seen in 11 years, I do think there's something to the notion that someone got in Bo's ear. It can't always be Cortland. You can use a lot of Cortland, don't get me wrong, but it's got to be Cortland's 40% of it, and that other 60% is distributed equally, and Bo did a good job of that last night.
He said as much at the podium last night, talking about how, when you spread the sugar, spread the wealth, it prevents a defense from honing in on just one guy. And I think you saw that last night. Like, obviously, Cortland Sutton got his with the 5 for 81 and the awesome touchdown. But, Troy Franklin gets involved. R.J. Harvey gets involved. Evan Ingram a little sprinkle here and there. Marvin Mims doing his thing. Like, when you become that diverse in the passing attack, it's going to, cause a headache and, confuse these defenses. So, again, another trend that you want to see continue moving forward into Philadelphia.
All right, is one game enough to establish an identity? Sean Payton spoke on that. Anilo and I, more Broncos talk next.
Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Denver Sports 1043 to stay up to date on all your local teams. Denver Sports 1043. The Fan.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friend.
Is here. The leaves are piling up. The air is getting crisp. Football's back on TV and chili's been simmering in the crock pot for hours. At Postman Law, the season may change, but one thing stays the same. We fight for hardworking folks when they've been injured. We've recovered billions for our clients, and it costs nothing to find out if you have a case. You don't pay a dime unless we win for you. If you've been hurt in an accident, call Postman Law at 844-POSTMAN today. That's 844-POSTMAN. This is attorney advertising.
Haven't filed taxes in 3 or more years? You're not alone, and you're not out of options. Join Todd from Advanced Tax Solutions for a free workshop on Tuesday, September 30th at 6 p.m. Get answers to all the big questions. Can you still get a refund? What if the IRS filed for you? How far back do you need to file? And what happens if you've moved and don't even know the IRS is coming after you? Don't wait for a wage garnishment to find out where you stand. Call 303-753-6040 to sign up for this free workshop.
Done right kitchens, baths, counters and floors, finished basements, windows and doors. Our 8% scheduling incentive and bank financing to ask about make a great time to call 800-362-8370 or drhi.com.
Is your office cleaning letting you down? Pike Janitorial beats your current cleaning price by 10% and delivers spotless results every time. Environmentally friendly, thorough, and reliable. Visit denver-janitorial.com for your free quote today. Pike Janitorial. Clean you can count on.
This is Dr. Joel Chernak with Denver Regenerative Medicine. If you've struggled with weight loss, it's time for something real. We use GLP-1 medications from licensed U.S. pharmacies at full strength, never from unknown or online sources. Your program is overseen by a real doctor with in-clinic care and telemedicine options. Best of all, we're offering a free consultation so you can get started risk-free. Experience real weight loss results for under $300 a month. Visit denverregen.com to book your free consult. That's denverregen.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Hey, bro, weirdest thing is happening at the game. Every time I crack a Bud Light, we score a touchdown. I think I'm some kind of football prophet.
Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Stock up today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 1043, The Fan.
Some things in life should never be trial and error, like do-it-yourself dentistry or messing with your home's electrical wiring. That's where Piper Electric comes in. They've been powering homes with expert electrical service since 1983. From simple fixes to commercial and industrial work. Need an EV charger? They'll plug you in without the sparks. Right now, get $50 off your next service. Call 303-422-9219 before you DIY yourself back into the dark ages. Piper Electric. Leave the electricity to the experts.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Identity in sports is so important. When you look at the Avalanche when they won the Cup in 2022, the identity was just relentless. Just 4 lines, just boom, 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 boom. Teams could never catch their breath. They go 16-4 in the playoffs. 2023 Nuggets helps having the best player on earth, but man, the ball just flew around the court. Never got stuck in anyone's hands. They go 16-4 in the playoffs and win a championship. Broncos, identity. One game is not enough to establish an identity. I get it. But last night you saw a glimmer of what it could be. Running the ball, relentless defense, and improved quarterback play when those things are clicking on all cylinders. They're going to have to do it again, and then again, and again. You think of Herb Brooks. Again. But, Anil, we'll hear from Sean Payton in a moment. I want to ask you, though, did you finally, and I know Mace wrote about this at DenverSports.com, did you finally, as you were sitting there in the stadium last night, feel like, wow, I can see the identity. I can see how this can work for this team. And no one's going as far as Super Bowl. I mean, I know Sean wants to go that far, but I'm not asking you that. I'm not asking you if they're going to hoist Lombardi. But I am asking you, did you get a glimpse of what their identity could be in a dominant 28-3 win?
Yeah, I did. I like the balance with the rushing attack and the passing game, but I'm also like, I'm not going to go crazy. Like, it was against the Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals. Again, the Broncos were a massive favorite in this game. My takeaway is the Broncos did what they were supposed to do. You know, maybe with a little emphasis to your point with Mike Evans and whatnot, style points do matter. I like the variety in the passing attack. You rattled off the 7 or 8 different guys that got the ball last night. We talked about the balance with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, the precision from Bo Nix. I liked all of that. Now let's see it carry over to Philadelphia. That's where I'm at. I think the Broncos took care of business. They checked their boxes, but I can't go crazy over a 28-3 win with a Bengals team that is terrible on defense and without one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So yes, feel good about it. I liked what I saw. Let's see him do it again.
Yeah, last night to me felt like a baby step, right? Just a baby step.
Yes.
An infant getting up on its own and walking to mom or dad a foot or two across the living room floor. That's what it felt like. Doesn't mean the infant's about to start going on walks around the block, anything like that, but baby steps. Literally, quite literally, baby steps for the Broncos in terms of finding an identity, which again should be running the football, exceptional defense, and a quarterback who is darn good, but even better when those things are going his way. Here was Sean Payton this early in the season trying to find that identity.
Early in the season, all 31 other teams are really working to figure out who they are. We're no different, but it certainly was a step in the right direction. Yeah, I would say that there were a lot of things that we were able to do tonight that hopefully can carry over. Now, we changed quickly to a team that just finished winning the Super Bowl, so we'll enjoy this one and then get back to work tomorrow.
I mean, you heard it right there, step in the right direction, and Sean basically acknowledging, hey, we're just like everyone else in the NFL. We are trying to figure out who we are. He talked about Philly a little bit there, too, and we'll get into Philly more tomorrow and the next day. Got plenty of time to preview the Eagles game, which obviously will be a massive test for the Broncos. But, Anil, I get it. You're not going to come in here and start waving your pom-poms after last night. But I assume you can at least agree with the head coach. It was a step in the right direction.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if they would have not looked as good as they did last night, then it's red flag time, right? Because, again, the Broncos did what they were expected to do. And I think this is a good kind of reset type of game of like, okay, you know, the Tennessee win was pretty ugly, 2 brutal losses in a row, 2 games that we probably should have won, and this was a nice opportunity to kind of take a step back, you know, use the quarter mark, right? You know, 4 games now into the season to readjust, recalibrate here a little bit, and I'll get back on track moving forward. So yes, I liked what I saw. I just want to see them build on it.
And part of that identity is figuring out that, hey, we like Tyler Bidet. He's dressed in all 4 games. We kind of sort of still like Jaleel McLaughlin, even though he can't get a jersey. We didn't like Audric Estime, so we cut him. but really committing to Dobbins and Harvey being 1A and 1B. And Sean spoke about that last night in terms of finally getting a 100-yard rusher in his time as head coach of the Broncos and the balance between the second-round pick and the big free agent signing.
I mean, there were certain tags that put either one in, but we gave them series, and I think that helped both of them. Certainly it's easier to call plays, and both of them got in good rhythms. I mean, there were hard-fought yardage. Those guys both ran hard. I thought we blocked them well. We pushed them well. And so we'll look at the film, but good to have a 100-yard rusher. It was good to run. I don't know how many attempts we had, but that typically happens with a big lead. I'd love to have that many rushing attempts, but it's usually a byproduct of being ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he admitted what a texter alluded to earlier. They were running the ball with the lead. Sean even said as much there. But let's dive into this series thing, because I think part of the problem last year, particularly with the offense, and Stoke has talked about this, is it's like hockey line changes, right? It's just this guy's in, this guy's out, this guy's in, this guy's out. No one can get in a rhythm, whatever. But I felt like with Payton with Dobbins and Harvey last night, you give them each a series, they can really get into a rhythm on their own. I wouldn't be shocked if the Broncos do that the rest of the year. I think it's going to be massive for them to say it's not a JK carry and RJ carry, a JK carry and RJ carry. It's JK, 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 RJ, 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 RJ. Like, it's going to get to that point where if these guys know, hey, we're trying to go 80 yards and I'm going to be on the field for all 80 of those yards, that's going to help with the running back's confidence tremendously.
Well, I mean, when J.K. Dobbins comes out, I don't know if it was unprompted, but, talks about how he's able to build confidence and he feels like he can get better throughout the course of the game, that's where you as a coach need to listen to that and factor that into the game plan. And I think the same could be said for R.J. Harvey. I mean, this is a rookie running back that is still trying to find his way and find his footing in this league. I mean, anything you can do to build confidence in that running back room and just really with the team overall, even if it isn't aligned perfectly with this vision, again, talking about ego and being flexible and being dynamic, that is a recipe for success. 100%. I think you saw that last night with the rushing attack. And yeah, I would not be surprised. I think you keep defenses guessing. You know, defensive coordinators as well. Obviously, old pal Vic Fangio next week is going to be interesting. But, I think the Broncos, again, let's take it with a grain of salt against the Bengals, but maybe that word identity, maybe they were able to start to figure out just what that might be moving forward.
Yeah, Vic Fangio, he of infamy in Denver, Colorado, for two reasons. One, pretty darn mediocre, if not bad, head coach. Only cared about the defense. We were down in training camp year after year after year.
Yep.
He didn't even look at the offense. He just coached the defense. It's like, Vic, you realize you're the head coach now, no longer the DC.
Yeah.
So infamy for that, and also infamy. Can you think of the second thing I'm going with here of why Vic Fangio caught a lot of flack in this town?
Well, I know he complained about the lack of good rigatoni in the city.
So it
not
is
that.
food related,
Oh.
so you're on the right track.
Really?
Wasn't thinking of the rigatoni. Dante's pondering back there as
Because
well.
he's death by inches, right? Or
He
is that
is.
Vance?
No, I think Vic is death by inches, but it's food.
Food.
Vic Fangio
is right up
did
my alley.
something that people did not like.
Did he not like green chili?
Wasn't green chili. Dante, you got anything? You look stumped.
Did he eat a pizza with a fork and knife?
Ooh, see, now you're even closer on the right track. It wasn't how he ate something, it was what he ordered.
Oh, he ordered a burger at the steakhouse.
Exactly. They took him to Elway's the night he got hired, and Vic Fangio ordered a cheeseburger. Come on, man.
That's diabolical.
Hey, I'm sure Elway's makes a great burger. I'm sure they do. They make good food everywhere. I'm not getting paid for this. They just do. I've eaten there a handful of times. It's good. You don't go to a steakhouse and order the cheeseburger.
No, that's sacrilegious.
Go get the filet mignon. Go get the New York strip.
Yes. Like, it's one thing if you're going to, like, Ted's, right? Like, their burgers are really good, but you could also get, a steak or a bison, whatever it might be. Like, I could understand that, but Shanahan's?
I will say
Elway, excuse me, sorry.
That's
Both are
kind of
very
a
good.
football guy move to order the burger.
Well, remember, you're right. It is. It's
Fair.
kind of like old school tough guy. Remember, he didn't even own a suit. And the Broncos, when they hired him, were like, hey, you're having your intro press conference, wear a suit. And Vic goes, I don't own a suit. So the Broncos literally bought him a suit the day of so he could trot up to the podium wearing a suit. He took that suit off. I don't know what he wore to Elway's, but he ordered a cheeseburger.
I know we're not trying to go on a Vic Fangio tangent right now, but what a waste of time that era was for the Broncos.
Oh, such a waste.
I mean, Vance, I could understand, right? Like, you want to take a shot on him and whatnot, but to go Vance, Vic.
Nathaniel?
The Hackett one That is such a perplexing situation.
They were trying to get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm not going to give him a break, but I understand the thought process. Like, what is the thought process of having a defensive guy in Vance Joseph falling short of that expectation, then going to get an old soul type of guy in Vic Fangio? I understand the Broncos defense has always kind of been their bread and butter, at least since the Super Bowl 50 team. But like hindsight's always 2020. Like what was the thought process there?
Yeah, we wanted to be 104.3 the Fangio, but it never quite worked out that way. You mentioned Dobbins. I think he's the best interview on the Broncos right now. And I want you to hear this, kind of not calling out his head coach, giving his head coach credit, but also what we were talking about, Sean Payton's starting to get they need to run the ball.
I'm one of those guys where if I get in a rhythm, if I get consecutive carries, I think I get better. As the game goes on, I get better. And I'm sure that's probably every running back. They would probably tell you that. So tonight, in the second half, that's what you saw. I think Coach Payton is starting to figure me out and RJ out and the offensive line out and just the whole offense. He's figuring it out, and he's doing a great job of putting us in the right position. The series, getting consecutive touches, you see what happens. You said 38 games. We haven't had a 100-yard rusher, and that happened tonight because Coach Payton put us in that position.
I mean, Coach Payton's starting to figure me out as code for Sean. Feed me the rock.
Yep.
Anilo, I got to admit, I wasn't familiar with his game. J.K. Dobbins, and I actually learned this at training camp, but J.K. Dobbins, phenomenal interview, man. I love talking to that guy.
Oh, he is the best. I mean, like, this is, the first time, obviously, I've had the chance to be around him in the locker room and whatnot. I mean, he is funny, bubbly, exciting, energized, a little hyper in a good way, though. Like, I mean, he's probably the best interview on the team just in regards to, like, mood. Like, you get good answers from, like, the Mike McGlincheys and whatnot, the Quinn Miners and whatnot, but, like, J.K. Dobbins is just a fun guy to talk to.
Yeah, and remember, he ticked off Chargers fans. I tweeted it out. Got, like, 600,000 views. It was like, I didn't know that many Chargers fans existed. But he said they're going to have to deal with me twice a year. Like, yes, first laugh goes to the Chargers, although J.K. did have a good game out in L.A. Let's say this. Hopefully, Week 18 is for the division against Los Angeles at Empower Field at Mile High. All right, coming up next, there are news and notes on both the Nuggets and Buffs. Anilo and I will hit them before we get out of here.
The Broncos bounced back in a major way and blew out the Bengals in prime time. With a short week ahead, will Sean Payton find a way to keep the momentum rolling on offense? Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the lake or clean out your closet? RV wins! Putting the dishes away or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Cleaning the fridge or taking a trip to the beach? RV wins!
You might want to clean the fridge real quick because, mold.
We clean out the fridge, then take the RV out.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
More than a few of our patients have talked to me about their first time, but it's not the first time you're probably thinking about. It's the first time that erectile dysfunction ruined the moment. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're over 50, it's likely you've had that first time yourself. But the good news is that if you're like most men, that first time can be the last time that ED impacts your sex life. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we're experts in treating ED. We've treated tens of thousands of men using protocols with success rates well over 90%. And those treatments have, in most cases, made sex great again for both them and their partners. You could even find that you're performing like you haven't in years. So if ED has been affecting your intimacy, it's time to make the last time that happens the last time that happens. For just $99, you'll receive blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
Catch Telestrator Tuesday weekly on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, where Stink or Stoke dive into the past weekend's games with a coach's eye, using insights into what went right and wrong on critical plays. Telestrator Tuesdays, powered by Colorado Credit Union. Love where you live, love where you bank.
Football is here, and Fitness Gallery's Fall Football Sale is your playbook for a winning home gym. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit any of our 7 stores from Denver to Fort Collins and score big before the sale ends.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Call 1-877-CARS-4-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040. It's football season, and did you know that I am the reigning fan staff champion in the King Supers Football Pick'em? Yep, Stokely, Schlereth, Zachby, Cecil Lammy, none of them can hang with the judge when it comes to football. Just like those made-for-TV lawyers can't hang with me in the courtroom. When you've been hurt in a car accident, you want the real deal, which is what you get when you call 303 Law 4040. Not some made-for-TV character. When you call 303 Law 4040, you speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly, not some call center overseas. And you get to meet with us in person for free. We never take a dime unless we win for you. Plus, no ridiculous fees like those TV characters. You were the one that was hurt, so the doctors and the lawyers shouldn't take all the money. So go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303 Law 4040, 303 Law 4040.
Here's Shayna, Dylan, and their dad, Steve Williams.
Ever wonder why diamonds have been the very symbol of royalty, power, and love for centuries?
Almost as old as creation itself, a natural diamond is the most concentrated form of transferable wealth in the world.
Passed down from generation to generation.
And like people, no two natural diamonds are ever the same. Each are unique and singular. A creation as you are.
A diamond is naturally forever.
And that's why a natural diamond from Williams Jewelers is the perfect expression of your love.
At Williams Jewelers, we've sold more diamonds to more couples for more years than any other jeweler in Denver.
In fact, we're one of America's largest fine jewelers, with almost every size, shape, and price range natural diamond in stock.
All at the guaranteed best prices in the state.
Say will you with Williams.
Where Colorado shines.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
Williams Jewelers of Englewood, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche.
Stay up to date on the Broncos and the latest news from around the league with our NFL insider James Palmer, exclusively on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Mondays on The Rundown with Richie Carney, Tuesday afternoons on The Drive, and Friday mornings on Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, all season long. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, we got some Nuggets notes and some Buffs notes that we want to get to before we depart. And quick reminder, don't even know if anyone's told anyone this yet. We are carrying Major League Baseball playoffs tonight. The Reds and the Dodgers coming up live from Los Angeles right here on 104.3 The Fan. Starting at 7, so keep it locked in when Anilo and I are done. I think we'll all be rooting for the Reds. Don't know if they'll win, but go Reds, playing the big bad Dodgers in the wild card round. You can hear that here in about 10 minutes. Anilo, you were at Nuggets Media Day. Biggest takeaways, and also, of course, I'll just let you deliver the news, but there was one big bombshell from Nikola Jokic, and a bombshell in the good kind of way. Music to the ears of Denver Nuggets fans.
Yeah, it was really nice to be back there. And, of course, DenverSports.com is your home for all of your Denver Nuggets news and information, Broncos, Avs, all that good stuff as well. But, yeah, it was great to be back in the building, me and our guy Jake Shapiro. But, yes, the bombshell that you're alluding to is Nikola Jokic. Bad day to be a Laker fan yesterday, Will, announcing that he essentially intends to finish whatever is left of his career with the Denver Nuggets. Of course, that question was asked amid speculation as to why he didn't accept the 3-year Supermax deal. I think anyone with a brain understands that if he waits another year, it's like a difference of like not hundreds, but like tens of millions of dollars by waiting an extra year. So it just makes financial sense from Nikola Jokic. And so Nikola Jokic is not going anywhere. His quote is, "My plan is to be a Nugget forever." So that's my answer. End
Love it.
Quote.
Love it.
So that was great.
So after ESPN tried to trade him all summer.
Oh, my gosh.
Nikola says, I'm going to be a Nugget forever. And then ESPN didn't have a single headline
I
about
saw
it.
your tweet. I mean, it is four-letter network. That's what I call it.
I mean, their headlines yesterday were LeBron and Kawhi and Cooper Flag and Durant and Ant-Man. And they wouldn't even put on their website that Nikola Jokic says into a hot microphone, I'm going to be a Nugget forever. What are we doing?
Crazy.
It was ridiculous. Anything else from Media Day other than Jokic is going to retire a Nugget. Thank goodness. Massive, massive news. Big story. We all felt like it was going to happen, but for him to say that into a microphone made us all feel a ton better. But you heard from everyone. You got anything to pass along from Jamal or Christian or AG or any of the new guys? Jonas Valanciunas in the building. No drama there. What else should Nuggets fans know?
Yeah, that was my outside of the Jokic bombshells we just talked about. I think Jonas Valanciunas came across really well in his press conference yesterday. You know, talking about how winning is paramount. You know, I'm happy to be here. If I wasn't happy, I wouldn't be here. Is kind of what he talked about. Again, DenverSports.com. If you want to read about that for yourself, I thought Jonas Valanciunas came across really, really well during Nuggets Media Day, and that is, you know, obviously, of course, after when they traded for him, some speculation about does he want to continue playing in the NBA, this, that, the other. So I thought Jonas came across really well. I think Cam Johnson is going to be a seamless fit in this Nuggets offense, man. He is such a smart player. He can shoot it, he can pass it, he can dribble. Just a complete player for the Denver Nuggets, and nice to see Brucey B back in the building.
Yeah, it's gotta love Brucey B back. His Nuggets tattoo that he got after they won the title was on full display. I'm with you. Valanciunas, I mean, that became drama out of nowhere during the offseason. Is he going to play in Greece? Is he going to be happy to be here? He made it very clear he's happy to be in Denver and he wants to win a championship. And quite frankly, his job is going to be to keep that bench afloat in the rare minutes Jokic isn't on the court. And I think he's going to be the best option the Nuggets have maybe ever had in the Jokic era, with all due respect to the Mason Plumlees of the world. I think Valanciunas is going to be the guy that can really help this bench.
Well, and you talk about the rare minutes when Jokic is on the court. I do believe the goal for the Nuggets this year is to make it so it's not rare, so that Jokic doesn't have to play 40-plus minutes a game. That's also the case with Jamal Murray. And we saw some quotes coming out today from the first training camp practice down there in San Diego. Bruce Brown talking about how the bench unit got a lot of run today and how, you know, they're playing through Valanciunas. So it looks a little bit like, I don't mean it in a bad way, but Jokic Jr., right? Like, you're not changing the entire complexion of how you play your game just because Joker comes out of the game. So I think that's huge, man. The depth is there. The vibes were proper yesterday. I don't want to overblow that, right? Because it's easy to get lost in vibes and whatnot, but it feels like a team that is locked in, focused, and refreshed after 2 down seasons, or 2 seasons in which they fell short.
Yeah, 2 seasons that ended in bitter Game 7 disappointments. Could we have 2 parades this summer? I don't know. The vibes were high when you and I were at the Avs Media Day a couple of weeks ago as well. All right, real quick.
They're up 1-0, by the way, in their preseason game against VGK.
Okay, so I'll make sure to tune into that the rest of my night. Sorry, I love the Avs, but preseason hockey, not my cup of tea. Home opener, though, in like 9 days. That should be exciting. Meanwhile, Deion Sanders asked, have the Buffs been underachieving? Said, quote, yeah, and I am as well, because I'm part of it. We're just not making certain plays. The 2 and 3 Buffs underachieving? I think so. Probably should have beaten Houston. Had a real chance to beat Georgia Tech. Had a real chance to beat BYU. I think that's a proper word to describe the Buffs so far this season.
Talked a lot about identity. I know Coach Prime doesn't like that word, but right now they do not have an identity. They have a lot of talent, but they're playing a little bit more as individuals than they are as a team. So we shall see what happens with the Buffs moving
Might
forward.
be lucky to make a bowl game. I think that's where I'm at with the Buffs at this point in the season. But identity, the Broncos, baby steps, have started to find one perfect place to leave it. For Dante and Anilo, I'm Will. Major League Baseball playoffs coming up next, right here on The Fan.
Stream Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Dover and Cecil, The Drive, and all your favorite shows on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan app. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app.
You could save thousands of dollars on the products your business uses the most with the Home Depot's new Pro Extra Preferred Pricing. Registering is free and easy. Just have your tax ID or business or contractor's license ready. But don't wait. The current preferred pricing benefit will end on November 15th. Visit your local Pro Desk to register now and unlock the deepest savings on the products you choose.
It's your last chance to take advantage of EV federal tax credits at Siltar Motors. This month, get the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the head-turning Mustang Mach-E with 0% interest for 72 months or lease